All right, I think it's been about 3 weeks, I don't know, several weeks since my last podcast. I'm so excited to share some things with you today. And this is my first video podcast. What? So if you're only catching this through audio, I'm sorry, but if hopefully this works out. We'll see. We'll see. So I was journaling this morning and some principles were coming to mind that I just started writing out. I was like, these are ones that have been so helpful and important for me. And these 5 principles are what can move us to experiencing more of the life we want, or they can keep us stuck in patterns in our love life, patterns in our work life, patterns in life in general. And so I wanted to share these with you today. These 5 principles that have, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard some, many, maybe all. But if you're like me, you heard them, you know them on a mental, intellectual level, but maybe you're not embodying them. And if for us to really know something, that means we've learned it and we're putting it into practice, right? That's when you really know it. You don't just know it because you can regurgitate it or you remember it. You know it because you're living it. And my hope is that when I share these 5, that maybe one of them will be something that you'll hear, that you'll go, oh, and you'll really take to heart and maybe practice and play with more this week, this month. And hopefully it can create a shift in your life, in any part of your life right now that you're feeling any kind of challenge. I know this is the Love and Career Crossroads Podcast, but I believe these principles can relate to anything, even challenges with your kids. So let's get in it, shall we? The first one is where I place my attention. What goes? I know you could, I'm saying it and I can just hear you. You just filled in the blank. Where I place my attention, energy flows. Right? Energy goes, energy flows. I'm sure maybe you've heard that a time or two. When I think about that though, as I was like writing this down this morning, what was coming to mind was, where I put my attention with my what? With my thoughts, with my conversations. I think this is the one that, for my archetype anyway, is the most challenging. If you're not, I don't know if you're familiar with the energetic frequency archetypes, but it is a framework that was created last year. And one of the archetypes, the air alchemist, they really love to understand. They love clarity. They love to analyze. They love to see challenges and like figure them out. Do you know anyone like that? Do you know anyone in your life who maybe they even create challenges because then they get to figure them out? And I know I'm laughing, but it is a challenge for this particular archetype because they get satisfaction, they get fulfillment of, getting through something that's difficult. And so when I think about where I put my attention in my conversations, if I'm trying to analyze something, figure it out, that can get us caught up in a loop, right? If I'm doing that, I can get caught up in a loop because I'm trying to figure something out, but that thing I'm trying to figure out might be something in the in the past. So the second principle, don't worry, I'm going to be going back and forth between 1 and 2 here for a moment, is that the power is in the present moment. If you haven't read the very famous book by Eckhart Tolle, it's all about the power of now, right? The power is in the present moment because the present moment is where we're usually, as humans, thinking about something from the past or worrying about something from the future. Now, if you want to be more proactive, you're using the present moment to also, or hopefully, instead of worrying about the future and thinking about the past, you're living in the present, enjoying the present, and you might be using it to visualize what you want in the future, right? That's a cool way that you can be generative. So the present moment is generative and creative. And with that being said, recently I went to visit a friend I haven't seen in a while. And because I know that the power is in the now, I was like, I haven't seen this friend in a while. And I want to create with the time that we have together. And so I have a bunch of colored pencils that I had got for my son's, to create my son's 18th birthday thing, and some sketch paper. And I came up with all these different ideas of how we could write, draw, spend some time catching up as girlfriends, but also using that time to be generative, right, on the things that we want to bring more of into our life. And I literally left this person a message saying, like, this is the intention, this is what I want to do. And something happened between when I left that message and when I went over that I wanted to catch her up on. The challenge, though, is that I didn't use any of my tools to process what had happened. And if you don't process with yourself the things that happen, then you want to talk about it. And then when you're talking about it, sometimes you're talking about it, you're analyzing it, you're judging it, you're doing all the things in the what? In the now, right? Your conversation, all of the energy that you're having in this conversation is on what? We can say, oh, I'm catching my friend up, but you're catching your friend up on what? On this thing that you want more of, or this thing that you don't want more of? I don't know. So that's what I want to leave you with is as you are having conversations, remembering that your power is in the now. What you want to create more of comes from where you're placing all your energy in the present moment. So, as much as the air alchemists love to analyze and figure it out, there are ways that we can work through. I have tons of different processes, so I have no excuse because I could have taken any one of my exercises that I do with myself, that I give to clients, work through it, and then I could have updated her in like 3 minutes versus the time I took to analyze the scenario. So those were 2 so far. So the third, have you ever heard the concept, you are not your thoughts, right? I remember when I first heard that, I was like, I'm not my thoughts. What? I mean, the thoughts are, they're in my head. They're talking. They're speaking to me. Like, where are they coming from? Well, they're not coming from you. Your thoughts, they don't come from you. Your thoughts come from the field. So there are thought forms, right? So think about if your thoughts, so I want you to think about that you are connecting to or attracting to other messages, other thoughts, other thought forms. And you're attracting the ones that are reflective of your inner state. So if I'm angry and frustrated, that's how I feel, then I'm going to connect to other thoughts in the field that are along the lines of anger and frustration. So there's thought forms, think of it like they're just hanging out, right? You got thought forms in the field. So the field is all around you. So in your home, you got certain thought patterns that are going on in your home with your family, where you live, the city in which you live, where you work, right? We tend to be around people who think like us. But when you understand that your thoughts are not coming from you, then when you have a thought that you don't love, you don't have to identify with the thought, and you can say, oh, okay, where'd that thought come from? I've heard it explained as the station, right? Like a radio station. So we tune into, well, think of it like a podcast. I mean, songs like on Spotify, not a podcast. It could be a podcast, but let's say songs on Spotify. Based on how I'm feeling, if I'm feeling sad, I might choose songs on Spotify that are more a match to my vibe. If I'm in a super good mood, I'm about to go on vacation, I'm excited, I might choose some really exciting music, right? Upbeat music to go with my mood. So my state is choosing something very similar, right? So when you think about Spotify stations as different channels, those are the channels that we're tapping into. So if I'm sad and I choose to listen to sad music on Spotify, that music, there's certain thought forms in that music that are now coming back to me. Can you hear the loop as I'm describing it? So my feelings make me attracted to certain things in my surroundings. And I think that those things are me, right? I'm not the different stations on Spotify, but I get to choose which station I'm going to tap into. So these thought forms are in the field, right? The field is everywhere. So I did mention podcasts because we get to decide where we're going to tune into. So that takes me to the fourth principle. If we change our inner state, then we can change our thoughts. So if I'm not feeling sad and upset, then I'm not going to be reaching for sad music or putting on a sad movie, right? Which is I'm just going to be tapping into more sadness, which is then going to come back to me, and I'm just going to be in it, right? So I get to choose to have different thoughts if I change how I feel inside, my inner state. So I can be proactive in how I do that by who I decide to spend time with, what I decide to listen to, right? So these are where the podcasts, the music, the movies, the news, no news, the coworkers I choose to spend off time with or not. Wherever I choose to spend time in my environment is going to have an impact on how I think and how I feel. Because how I feel starts and then it goes to what I think. So I don't know. For you, are you someone who has always thought that the thoughts that come in your mind are your own? Or had it ever occurred to you that the thoughts that came were coming from the field? So we can be pulling in thoughts that are inspiring, creative, empowering, generative. I guess that's my word for the day. Or we can be pulling in thoughts that are fearful, along the channel of scarcity, doubt, I mean, fear's a big one, right? So I know when I'm working with someone and they're telling me that they watch the news a lot, and there's a difference between if you want to stay on top of what's going on, current events, and then how much time you spend in there, and then how that stuff makes you feel, right? So when I'm working with someone and they spend a lot of time with the news, they spend a lot of time talking to people about things that are going on that are filling them with anger and frustration or hate or judgment or fear, what do you think their inner state is reflecting? So our inner state is going to just reflect, we're going to get more of what we're feeling in here. So whatever's happening inside is what we're usually going to be exposed to. So in order to get out of the pattern, to shift the pattern, we have to shift our attention. We have to change where we put our focus and energy with our conversations, with what we choose to surround ourselves with. That might mean you spend less time with family if family's not a great influence. That might mean you have to get new friends. I don't know. So that's number 4. Number 5. There's a lag time between where you don't want to be and where you want to be, right? So when you're shifting into new timelines, when you're shifting into, we can say it in all different ways, new destinies, when we're shifting into a new chapter, the thing that keeps us from getting into the new chapter and the thing that keeps us in the same pattern is the lag time. Because we don't just all of a sudden change our inner state, then our thoughts, and then poof. Not that there can't be quantum leaps, not that there can't be miracles, but if every single time you changed your thought and you changed your identity and all of a sudden poof, I mean, things would be happening all over the place, right? We wouldn't even have a chance to say, do we like this? Do we not like this, right? There's this lag time that gives us an opportunity to see, do we want this? Is this what we really want? Is this what we say we like? Because a lot of times we think we want something until we get it. And then we're like, oh. Because usually we have longing for something out of discontent for something else. So we don't like this thing. So we say, oh, I want this thing. And then we get that thing and we're like, I don't really like that. Not that so much. But I like this part of it, but I don't quite like this stuff. So then we have a new desire, right? So there's a lag time. And it can be said in different ways. And you pick the way that feels great for you, right? So some will say that, you're being tested, whether you resonate with, you're being tested by the creator, being tested by the universe, to test to see if this is what you really want. I'm cool with that. And I really like the idea my brain can wrap around the thoughts I had in the old pattern, the thoughts connected to my old identity. There was a lot of those going on. So when I make a decision, when I choose something else, yeah, I got these new thoughts, new decisions, new ways that I'm looking at myself, this new identity I'm working towards embodying. But then I also got residue of the old stuff. There's still this gunk. I see it like this gunk still in your field. And so as we're going towards the thing we want, and we're like, yeah, I'm done with that. I'm not talking about that stuff anymore. I'm not focusing on that stuff anymore. I've now elevated. I'm listening to stuff. I'm engaged and connected with, different mindsets, more powerful mindsets, more positive mindsets. I'm doing all the things. But why does all this stuff keep happening? They say like all this stuff starts happening that you don't want once you've decided for what you do want. Why is that? Because now you're really clear on what you want to create. You're excited about it. You can't wait for it. You're like, let's go. But guess what? There's still gunk. There's still residue of the old. And that residue has an attraction factor. And so if you keep putting your attention on it, then you keep feeding it, right? So the lag time is your opportunity to starve that stuff, to not give it any more energy, so that eventually that residue all just moves on through. But the challenging part for us is when we don't see what we want to see as fast as we want to see it. We go back to the problem. We start talking about the problem, right? Do you know somebody? Maybe they went to a 3-day conference. They were like, woo woo, this was amazing. This was awesome. They heard a podcast. They were pumped. They shared it. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this new thing, this new habit. And they do it for a day or 3 days or a month. And whatever they want hasn't showed up. And so what happens? Or not only the thing doesn't show up that they want, but all the things they don't want show back up. Past people show up in their field. They're like, why are they there? Is this a sign I'm supposed to be with them? Probably not. Opportunities, job opportunities, career opportunities show up in your field. You're like, oh my gosh, what is this? Is this of the new timeline because it looks different? Or is this from the old residue? How do you know? How do you know? I want to share with you a tool that I use and created to help me determine if this is from the old or the new. Because sometimes something looks new and you think, oh, this is that thing I'm going for. This new person coming in my life because it's a new package. But don't get excited because the wrapping paper's different. Just because the wrapping paper's prettier, it's all bowed up, got nice, it's packaged all nice, doesn't mean it is a residue from the old timeline. Doesn't mean that. So how do you know? How do you know when a new opportunity comes in your field if this is of the new timeline or something that you need to pass? This is your test, if we want to use that. This is your test to say, oh, no, that's feeling like the familiar. Well, there's one. I just gave you one. Does it feel familiar? Because if there's any part of that feels familiar, that's your sign. No matter how pretty the wrapping paper is, that's from the old. So I have what's called I have a love alignment filter and a career alignment filter. And I create these specifically when I'm working with people one-on-one because we each have our own. So I can't personalize one for you here on a podcast, but I can share with you a couple of mine just so you can have an idea. And maybe you can hear these and start making your own. Think of these like, these filters are like your non-negotiables. They're like, okay, so I'm going to sit down and write down what is it that I really want. And if this new thing that comes in my life, this opportunity, this situation, this person doesn't align with these things, then it's a no. It's a really quick way to just say, nope, this ain't it. So I'll give you a couple. This is for me, and this is based on, by the way, my personalized archetypal map, right? So with EFA, Energetic Frequency Archetypes, if you don't know what your archetypes are, you can take the quiz. It's free. Link is in the show notes.
But you can get an idea of what your archetypes are, because depending on your archetypes, you're going to have certain things that fill your bucket and certain things that drain your bucket. And you might be like, Erica, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s. I know what fills my bucket. Okay. Well, I think that's amazing. And for me, I used to think I knew what filled my bucket. Really, I knew Band-Aid approaches to what made me feel good temporarily in the moment, not necessarily what really was a match to my wiring that would keep me fulfilled, that was sustainable. So that's what we're talking about here. So first one I have, this is again for me, and we're going to start in the love bucket. So this is a question I use. When I leave their presence, that person, do I feel more expansive? And what I mean by expansive is, was I able to be myself? Do I have energy? Do I feel aliveness? Do I feel open? Do I feel more peaceful? Do I feel energized? Versus, when I left that interaction, did I feel anxious? Did I feel frustrated? Was I confused? Was I trying to figure a bunch of stuff out? That's a flag for me. If I'm like, wait a minute, I'm really confused here, right? Confusion's we're not doing that anymore. Do I feel drained? Maybe obsessed. Maybe I feel like, like there was something that just plugged into me that I was like, it's like this instant, like craving of I want more, right? Like my favorite coconut dirty chip ice cream. That's a sign. Did I question something about me? Was I feeling a little of insecurity? So all those things are a no. If I have that in my interaction with that person, they're from the old timeline. Moving on. Number 2 is the energy reciprocal. For me, reciprocal energy is really important. And how I get energy and how you get energy is different. So what I'm sharing is specifically for me, but I need to feel momentum. I need to feel a level of excitement and enthusiasm in energy. And what am I talking about here? This could be really, this is on the love one, but this could be love or career. There needs to be a sense of excitement, enthusiasm through text, through email, through in person. If it's flat and blah, and there's nothing there, that's old timeline for me. Now, granted, there might be something going on with someone, so obviously there are situations, right, where not everyone is going to be on fire all the time. But if I'm giving you energy, if I'm giving you energy of enthusiasm and excitement, and you respond back blah, or you respond back or you don't respond back, well, there we go. You're not matching my energy, right? So I'm not carrying conversations. I'm not going to be the one initiating all the things. I'm not going to carry all the interesting conversations. There has to be a match for energy. And my energy is not just fun. My energy is fun and depth. Depth intellectually, depth emotionally. So you got to give me something. Okay. I would say I'm not going to give you all of mine, but another one might be, does their behavior match the relationship that I want, right? So if I'm someone who's looking for commitment, well, commitment means that we're going to practice consistency somewhere. We're going to practice, I'm going to see them practicing leadership. They know how to make decisions, so they're decisive, right? There's certain things about them that match with someone who is open to a committed relationship, whether it's now or in the very near future, right? Not 2 years from now or a year from now. And I'm not talking about commitment in terms of marriage. I'm just saying like committed partnership. I'll give you one more on the love one. Are they, and I'm giving you mine so that you can start thinking about what are the must-haves for you. Because these are the must-haves for me, the filters for me in the love bucket. Are they emotionally available? A lot of people think they are. And this is one, and I don't have this as a principle, but as a reminder in here, there should be a sixth one, which is you're a match for what you are. So I know that for me, in order for me to experience someone who's emotionally available, so must I be. And so emotional available, I don't know what that means for you, but for me, it means that they're willing and able to share things that are going on in their life, not just logistics, but actual things that happen to them in the day. They bring me into their world, right? Because that's sharing things that happened. Usually things that happen to us impact our emotions. Taking ownership when things are feeling uncomfortable. Being able to handle vulnerability, mine, theirs, without shutting down or running away. Being able to express feelings, just in general, not just information, right? Okay, so that's enough. I gave you 4. Career alignment filter. Again, these are mine, so just jotting some ideas for you for yours. So for me, number 1 is if an opportunity comes to me, and could be business opportunity, like corporation or person, right? A client. Does this create meaningful impact? I need to know that whatever thing I'm going to engage into is going to have some meaningful impact. It's important to my archetype that the energy that I'm putting on something is going to have a positive and meaningful impact on whatever we're doing it for, right? The second is, can I work this in a way that fits my wiring? Not everything that you do in your work is going to 100% connect to your natural wiring, right? So with the EFA system, it looks at your natural wiring, your conditional wiring, right? So kind of the things you've had to adapt to based on life circumstance, and then how you show up under stress. Well, with my natural wiring, I want to have a lot of what I do in my work, like recording this is part of my natural wiring. I love this. There are other things that I can do really well, but I don't live them. And if I do them too long, will drain me. So I have to be very conscientious. Am I going to be spending a lot of time? I'm sure you've read some of the books in your, is it the Zone of Genius? It's kind of the same concept. Are you in your zone of genius most of the time in this project? Or are you going to have to bring up an aspect of you that maybe you're really good at that's going to drain you? So that's one of my filters. I need to have my natural wiring in the majority of this project or with this person. Lastly, I'll give you one more. Does this require me to become more of who I want to be or less? So is this opportunity calling me into more leadership, to be more courageous? There's certain things I'm working on within myself that I want to grow into, right? If we're not growing, we're dying. So we don't ever want to stay stagnant. So we're always trying to grow into something else. If this opportunity isn't a growth opportunity, if there's not something I'm going to learn, be better at, even if it's allowing me to practice my trust and faith in something, a person, an idea, then it's not going to be a go. So I know quite a bit of time on this, but hopefully you can create some of your own filters, your alignment filters for different areas of your life, so that as you're moving into the next phase, as you're getting out of old patterns and you're moving into new chapters, you can do it with a very specific set of questions that you can look at and say, yep, this is a no, so that you're not spending a ton of time on something that is from the old, and you're not putting your focus on something and getting frustrated about something that shouldn't even be there. So hopefully you took one of these principles and you're going to take them and practice them into this week. And what I would say is keep choosing new thoughts, keep focusing on your vision, what you're wanting to create, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's in your work, whether that's in your business. Keep your mind focused on what you want to create more of. All right, till next time. So I hope today's conversation gave you something to reflect on and a new way to understand yourself and the people in your life. If this resonated, share it with someone who needs it. And if you're ready to understand yourself on a deeper level, take the Energetic Frequency Archetype Quiz in the description. Follow me for more on self-awareness, relationships, and real transformation.